has an amazing story, and you probably know some of his kids that go to school here. Y'all are in school with them, and so, Jeff, we are so glad you're here, and so excited that you're going to share your story with us today. All right, let's give him a hand.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much to Evergreen Christian School for having me here. We love this place. It's a wonderful place in our hearts. And I wanted to give you kind of an overview of what I'm going to talk to you about today in this short time. And it's basically that God is with you. No matter what happens, God is with you. And I know that this is a very, very important time for you right now. I remember back in my life when I went from junior high and I had high school ahead. And I know that it comes with a lot of emotion. It comes with a lot of, looking forward to things. It comes with a lot of anticipation and excitement. I know you're not done yet with junior high, but it's one of those things where there's also some concern and some work, indecision about what you're facing, what's going to be going on when you go into high school from this point. So if I'm sitting in your seat, I'll tell you this right now, I'm probably thinking, well, I've been in some good breakout sessions. I've heard pastors come up and talk to you. I've had ex-Major League Baseball stars come up and talk to you. Who in the world is Jeff Staudt? You can be honest. Who's maybe thought that when you looked at the lineup there? Okay, so at any rate, I'm basically just a regular father. I'm a regular person. I'm going to put my drink down here. And I had a life-changing event come up in my life recently that really allowed us to focus a lot on our faith in God. It was always there. My beautiful wife Amy is out in the crowd. Raise your hand, please, Amy. And we have 4 kids that go to Evergreen Christian, and it's just a fantastic school. But we've always had faith, we've always had belief, but I know how important it is to talk to you about certain things that come about in your life that you did not expect. Some people call it a sucker punch. Some people call it, an extreme left turn when you weren't expecting it. And we got that fairly recently, and I'll share that with you, but I want to let you know, more importantly, how we're relying upon God to get us through, when the clouds come into your lives. And I hope that no one really faces this, but it's important to have kind of what I call the rubber meets the road philosophy of faith, okay? And have you guys heard the term rubber meets the road, here and there? Yeah, I always look at it as like you're in the trenches, you have a great toolkit. I know you've had great teachers, great pastors, you've learned a lot about the Bible, which is, it's fantastic, there's a great foundation, but the question is, when you're in the thick of it, how do you turn that key? How do you turn onto your faith so you can get through that moment and let God carry you through? That is the question. That's what I hope to help you with. And I'm not looking to educate you necessarily differently than you've been taught. I think you probably from your parents, from teachers, from pastors have had great messages. I'm looking to just amplify, hopefully, what you've already learned. So I'm going to give you my background real quick. I'm going to give you, a description of what has gone on, and then I'm going to hopefully give you some tools that you can use that will help you with this. I grew up in Southern California. I had a great childhood. My parents were, very good. They gave me a lot of values and morals and things like that to look at. But my religious faith, I guess you could say, I always knew that God was there. But as far as reading the Bible and going to church, it was kind of a here and there type thing. Okay, so I'm sure you know a lot of folks in that same situation. Like I said, everything was good. We talked about God and all that kind of stuff. Do we have any football fans, college football fans in the audience? Okay, so I'm an Oregon Duck. Years ago, I would have been like, I'm an Oregon Duck. Now it's like, I'm an Oregon Duck. So I don't know what's going on with them this year, but I guess it's a growth year or something like that. But it was the same type of thing. I had moments where I was closer to God than others, but I always believed, and that was always important to me. So after college, moved back home to California. started our family. I started my career, and we had our first 2 children there. It was a great time in our lives. And then we moved up to Washington for a few years. This was in 2008, and took a job up here. And this is how we had the blessing of coming to Evergreen Christian in the first place. We had our first 2 children, Chloe and Madeline, here. And a few years ago, we actually went to Arizona for a job opportunity, and we had our 3rd child there. And this is where it kind of brings us up to what happened last year. And I call it a life-changing event. It was December 3rd, 2015. Aim and I were having a cup of coffee, probably talking about what's going on for the holidays and getting ready for Christmas and all that good stuff. And I got really dizzy, and I had this weird look on my face, and she was very quick to act, and next thing I know, I have the paramedics there, and they're all standing in my living room and taking vital signs and things like that, and I'm thinking to myself, how did this happen? And I'm in the back of an ambulance driving down the freeway, and at the end of a long day, the doctors had determined that I had a brain tumor. And this is something that, we're fine with it, but not only was it a brain tumor, but they were very quick to let me know it was a bad type of brain tumor. As if a good brain tumor exists, but, we thought to ourselves, this isn't exactly what we were expecting to, at the beginning of the day. And these are all things hopefully you're taking bits and pieces from. So our lives changed immediately. And it's one of those things where when we look at it now, we have a lot of faith, we have a lot of courage, and we believe that, God has a plan for it. But you can imagine what went through our minds when we're being told that basically, and I'll tell you right now, they told me I had less than a year to live. So I have 4 kids, my wife, and I'm thinking about, what does this mean? How do I deal with this? But I'll let you know that, at that moment, we made the decision as we're holding hands that as much as we respect the doctors and their medicine, practice and what they know, that it was up to God what was going to happen. We rejected it, and we said we're going to go through everything we need to go through, and then we're going to turn it over to God. So, it's one of those things when you hear that kind of news, and I'm giving that to you. I hope that most of you never face anything like that, but you're going to have discouragement, you're going to have concerns, you're going to have worries, you're going to have things that come up that you never expected. And what I want to do is kind of give you some perspective on how you can have some tools to turn quickly over to the faith and not dwell in the negative that you're given. Okay, so each step of the way when we were going through this, we continually put our faith in God and turned everything over to Him. And I'll just say that I've done better at each stage than they told me that I was going to do, which is really important. And I believe that that's because we did trust God completely. Are there any questions as far as anything goes at this point? So I'm going to give you some tools, and again, the rubber meets the road philosophy that I was talking to you about, that I have used, that we've used, that I think would be very beneficial to you. The first one is, and again, these are not things that I'm going to tell you about that you've never heard. It's hopefully things that you've already heard, and it'll help you to know that it got us through. One is faith, hope, love. Okay? I like that. These are things that I really like, and I encourage you, if you have a scriptural verse or things like that, or things that you've heard before, put them in your lives. And repetition is a huge factor for me. Go over it 100 times, 1,000 times, whatever you need to do, so when the moment comes, you have that available to you. Faith, hope, love, I think is so great, because faith is obviously magnifying what we already believe about God, who's in charge. Hope is something where, my hope is, and it's already come true, quite frankly, that through something happening like this, that we're able to impact the lives of others. and help other people who need encouragement. And we've already been able to do that because we've had people reach out to us and ask us for what we did. Love. I think that is, it's kind of funny this day and age. We turn on the radio, we turn on the TV, especially in election time. We hear so much negativity, we hear so much so many things, I should say, that undermine what we think is important as far as how society should act, how people should act towards each other, and it can get pretty ugly. And especially as you're going on to high school, I know you're not there yet, but you're going to see things, and it's just going to branch out from there, where you're just wondering how people can, treat each other that way. This is a great foundation that you've been given. But love is something I think is very important, and when you actually break it down and you think about what it is to love other people and try and see the best in them, I think that really gets us a lot further down the road, and it makes your mind and your body react a lot better to things that are going on around you. So faith, hope, love. I love it. Repetition, and hopefully that'll work for you. There's something I call the golden key, or I've heard it said that. And it's basically a quick method to turning whatever your worry or concern is, if it's at 1 in the morning or if it's at 1 in the afternoon, turning it over to God. Okay? It's so important. Get it off your shoulders and give it to God. Golden key, whatever you like, but I've had to do it a million times. Ian's had to do it. And we basically, that's part of your faith in God, is to turn it over, have a talk with God. Talk with God as a buddy, as a mentor, as a pal, whatever you want to do. When you get in the car and you set your GPS, you're trusting that it's going to lead you where you want to go, right? You're believing that you're going to punch in an address and it's going to zigzag you to the target that you want to get to, and then you go on with your conversation, you do whatever you do, and you believe it's actually happening, right? Do we trust God that way? Can we trust God as our GPS is kind of my, what I like to think. Set a goal that you think is worthy, and then ask God to help see you through it, and that's your GPS and for life, in my opinion. And I think that's a great thing. I'll share with you that one of the things I've done is, they gave me less than a year to live. So I set some goals that would take me past the year. Maybe it's learning a new language. Maybe it is running a marathon. Maybe it's bench pressing 225 pounds. Whatever it might be, where it's like, hey, this is going way past this, 5 years, 10 years out. I think that's really important for you guys to set goals that you believe in, you think are really important, and then go through God to make sure that you're getting that accomplished. It's really good to do that. I'm sure you probably do that anyways. And then the Oregon Duck people, you might know about Win the Day. I have my green bracelet here, and it's something that they used to use when they were, winning a lot of games. But win the day. Don't have a perfect day. Don't try and have the greatest day. Don't do everything perfectly. Just try and have a quarter turn better day, but win the day. Have a victorious mindset, because otherwise, and I'll share this with you. Amy and I talked about this. There are a lot of people, and I don't fault them, who when they hear that kind of news about their life, I kind of use this metaphor for there's a dock. And as you're walking down the dock, there's a boat on this side and there's a boat on this side. And the people who are discouraged are going to get in a certain boat and strap in and say, I'm going to go circle the calendar and just wait for that time to come up. And it's hard to not do that, okay? On the other side, yeah, I know it's not a good thing, but I trust God completely. And I remember when I was being wheeled off to surgery, as soon as we were out of sight from each other, I was saying, God, you're my hero, you're in every cell, I trust you, I know that you those types of things. But see yourself in that moment, winning, victorious, win the day, whatever you want to call it. But those are some tools that we have used to help us through a time that we never thought we would face. And hopefully those are things that will help you out. One of the things that we've been asked, we've been contacted by so many people saying, oh, you've been an inspiration, this, that, and the other. But a lot of people have called it a devastation, or how do you get through this devastation? How do you manage it? And I'll share with you that we've actually talked about, we've looked at each other and we've said, we're blessed. Sometimes it didn't even make sense, but we just said it out loud. We're like, we're blessed. And it's like, well, how can you, So anyways, how can you say that when you go through something like this? And I was going to basically say that, kind of jokingly, my kids used to tease me about my bald spot, and now I have this big scar that goes all the way down my head, so they don't mention that anymore. But truly, beyond that, we're back at ACS, which is where we want to be. Is this a run out of the room type thing?
It's an Amber Alert. So it's anybody that has their phone going, it's going across.
Oh, okay. So, and I'm not sure how we're doing on time here. It's stuck at 2:50. Are we good? Huh? Okay. So it's just one of those things where we're back at ACS. I know it sounds crazy, but these things have happened. This is one of the places that we really missed when we were in Arizona. We loved Arizona, but it was, how do we get back there? How do we do what we need to do? Obviously, we didn't check a box for this. We didn't want this to happen. But it is a blessing. Another blessing is that, like we said, we're inspiring other people. We have actually had people say we're working on, problems that we've had, this, that, and the other. And it was because we read your testimony or your account of what's been going on that it's really helped us. We're closer to God than we've ever been. And like I've told you, we always believed. We thank God in good times, and we've asked God for things in bad times. But we feel like God is part of every part of our being. And, these are things that hopefully, through hearing this, you can use as well. But this has helped us get closer to God than we've ever been. And it, again, people call it a devastation, but it's been a blessing to us. And we know that God has a mission for us. We don't think or we don't hear. We know God has a mission for us. Those are very important things. And hopefully you guys, as you go along and you develop and you learn more things and you face more trials in your life, you're going to know that God has that mission. Maybe you've set that GPS pin, whatever you want to call it, and there's nothing that can break you from that. Okay? Nothing. And I'll just tell you again, we've never had a day of why me. We've never had a day of we're ticked off. We're never had a day of, poor me type thing. It's, God, we know you've got this, and this is the way we're going with it. So, my hope is that you can put some of this stuff in your back pocket, so to speak, the rubber meets the road thing where you get a sucker punch, or you have something where you're just not feeling good about your friendships, or you're in a place where you don't feel comfortable, where you can pull it out of your back pocket, and you can remember that, Jeff Staudt, in a moment of very, heavy turmoil necessarily, health-wise, turned over to God and is still here, past the time when the doctors told me that I wasn't going to be here, okay? You've heard this before, and I can't stress it enough. It's okay to feel fear. It's okay to feel doubt, worry, concern. Those are human emotions. And I can't stress this enough, guys. Never, ever, 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 ever give up. Don't give up. Do whatever you need to do. If you need to go for a run, if you need to go high five your friend, if you need to scream out to God, talk to your pastors, don't give up, okay? It's easy to give up, and I don't blame people for giving up because it gets discouraging in life at times. Never give up, okay? Get tough, all right? God has, in my true estimation, there's a plan, and if you accept the plan and you look to the power in God's plan, it'll carry you through. But it's not easy to see when you're faced with heavy news like that. So I'll close up here, and if you have any questions, I'm open to questions, obviously. But I know some of you, I met some of you, but most of you I've never met. I wish you the best of luck. I believe in you. Like I said, it's okay to feel unsure about certain things. You're going off into a big new world next year when you go off to high school, but just stay faithful, believe in God, ask God, for what you need, and be honest, and God knows. But I believe in you. I'll pray for you. Hopefully you'll pray for me, and hopefully in your back pocket, like I said, if time ever comes in your life, and I know it will, where you get discouraged, You might remember me standing up here talking to you saying, don't give up, don't lose faith. You know, you'll see better days, and if you put it in God's hands, amazing things can happen. So please don't forget about that. And God is with you, and I know this. So I really appreciate your time. I wish you guys the best. Are there any questions? Okay. Have a great day, and best of luck to you guys, okay?